you're in the city, if you know.
award, yeah.
I'm not sure what,
Okay,
Okay,
I'm right here in Holland.
okay.
that's probably Ward 5. But so say your name into the mic.
Hi, my name is Dennis O'Neill.
I did.
I recently relocated here 6 months ago basically for music. I'm seeing what's going on. I really like it. There's a really strong sense of community with with the musicians and all the support. I really have only a few questions about on this section here, number 6, where it says other potential projects.
And
I'm really curious as to what you guys are looking for, or the directions that you're going in. So haven't been here long enough to see how the general plan works as far as what you're planning for the future. But I see that Sewell Ross is putting a performing arts center in the middle. So something tells me there's something going on. It's very strong here. So that's what I was curious about, is other potential projects. If you had something in mind, things you allow, things you don't allow.
gotcha. And we will discuss that when we get there, but it's good to know that you're interested. And if you stick around, there's nothing keeping us from including you in that part of the conversation as well.
Okay, one more question
Yeah,
is
please.
related to that potential projects. Is there any type of a outside recruitment for music business related, like bringing music businesses here?
Right.
I see we have a professional sound company here. We have a print shop, you have everything you need, and we have one guitar store.
Yeah.
But it seems like that other people might be actually interested in bringing, maybe not necessarily a music instrument but music related businesses. So that was one of the questions I did have. But I can, I do have more, but I can.
I'm following like the way the mayor handles it at the council meetings. It's just apparently we're not allowed to specifically respond during this period, but we can discuss these things later in the meeting.
All right, that sounds good.
It's good to know what you're curious about, because we can address those things.
All right, I'm good with that.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We have no public hearings, so we're going to move on to approval of the minutes of the April 28th meeting, and I believe that let's get a motion to accept in a second, and then we'll discuss, and we can move to make information.
Well,
Motion to move on? What?
To accept the minutes?
Oh, to accept, yes.
Okay, and do we have a second? And then
Well,
we'll have discussion and be able
I
to.
don't know if I should make that motion because I'm not accepting the way they are.
Well,
You
we
have
can,
to make a second, otherwise.
yeah.
we can't talk about
Okay,
it.
so
that's,
this-
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
why I'm
so,
asking.
so the way that Robert's rules works, before we can actually discuss it, there
Gotcha.
has to be a motion on the
That's
table.
okay.
Okay. So now we're open for discussion.
Okay.
Let's address the issues.
Okay, under number 2, it says not present, Cindy Purdue on place 5,
Oh.
and then on down, it says on a motion by board member Cindy Purdue Wasserman.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Let's correct those things.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I was here last
Yeah,
night.
yeah, I'm not sure how that came about. I usually take notes and send notes. I don't prepare the final myself.
Yeah, and it has, also, above the not present, it has Heidi Wasserman in place 5, which she's not on. the-
Which is the hot committee, which I'm also involved with, so I could have been on some cold beds. Okay,
Just wanted to bring that to your
no,
attention.
thank you. So we are,
Good catch.
yes, we're removing. And indicates. And we're correcting the spelling of your last name and removing the extra last name under approval.
Right. And, I don't know, I don't guess he was. I was thinking that Will was here, but he might not.
He wasn't, and he did
Okay.
give me notice
Okay.
this time.
Right.
Okay, So then, we can then amend the motion to approve the minutes with the corrections we've just discussed. And so one of you might do that motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Okay. So we have a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Then we'll vote on each in turn. So you do the first one first?
Amended first.
The amended, okay. So all in favor of Cindy's amended motion? Say aye. Opposed? And then all in favor of the original motion
As amended.
as amended? Please say aye. Do you approve?
Aye.
And no, if not, okay. Then we will move on to our information and discussion items. The music friendly showcase is something that Mateo and I have been working on. We followed up well, we met to discuss how we might follow up with the mixer. In part, we added the folks who came to the meeting to the email list, but I haven't sent out any emails since. So as far as all the people who came in good faith to build community were concerned, there was no follow-up at all. But Mateo, I met with Mateo because he'd been kind of the one most driving this community question and raising these things. So I thought, let's compare notes, see if we have thoughts. And what Mateo suggested, which I thought was an excellent idea, was a showcase inviting venue booking people from around the Big Bend to come and inviting players who are interested in meeting those people and in being booked. And each person who wants to come and play would have 2 songs and we'd cycle through pretty quickly. And so we've scheduled that for August 19th, Wednesday at the Ritchie, in the slot of their regular music, 7 to 9. And once we started talking about that, we were pulling up the list of venues for the invite list of the bookers and realized we weren't positive between the 2 of us that we knew all of the venues and we didn't know all of the contacts for those venues. So the email I'm drafting right now to the music mailing list has the list of venues that we came up with when we were talking with the contacts we know and then slots for the contacts we don't. So I'm going to basically ask our music list to help us kind of crowdsource that list. Are we missing any venues off the list? And if they have contacts for them, to send them to me. And then I'll build up the full directory. We'll invite those people to the showcase and we'll then share the list with our list. And that would be a good starting point towards the music industry directory in general.
Right.
So that's kind of where that's at. Is there anything
That sounds
comes to mind that you would have?
correct.
Do you feel confident that 2 hours is gonna be enough if you have a lot of
I-
people show up?
On our calendar, I put in 3 hours just, okay, I feel like it'll be much like an open mic,
Right,
but like, 2 songs, a person. And if we go through everybody, then keep on
Start on
jamming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it would be cool for musicians, much like the last meeting, really want, it was more of an introduction, people meeting each other. But I really do want the venue owners and bookers to come see what is in the Tri-County.
Right.
And to shake hands with those people and meet them and not just know each other over an email.
Right.
Or a text or something, but to start putting like faces to names.
Yeah, and one other benefit that you mentioned when we met was that players can hear each other, and then if there's somebody they really like the sound of, they might
Yeah.
say, hey, you
Sure,
wanna,
yeah.
you wanna play
Pick up
together?
and
You
play
need a
together.
guitar
Right.
player or, anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, like, it's silly, but just thinking of like adults being like, hey, you wanna start a band? Hey, you wanna start a band? You wanna, like, yeah, I love it.
Tony and I started another band on Sunday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't really.
So that's basically the overview of what we have in mind. Any questions at all or input on those ideas from anybody?
Sounds good to me.
Okay,
I like that. It's great.
cool. And
You were the drum guy,
Yeah.
right?
and maybe a drum store you had.
I looked
Yeah.
at this.
I'm thinking, didn't I meet you up at the visitor center? I think so,
yes.
yeah, once you
Farmer's
started
Market?
talking, yeah. When I did the petting zoo, yeah.
I don't have an accent.
No, but when you started talking, I was like, I think I've talked to you before, yes, sir.
So moving on to the music industry directory, the Texas Music Office. I think they just finally released maybe their new version of the state's music industry directory, which, and they sent me out what they had for Alpine. And when we first got our music friendly designation, part of our agreement was that we would, every 6 months or something like that, we would update their database with things that had changed. And since they started working on the new version, that nothing's happened in that respect. They haven't added to the old database because they're building the new one. And the info they sent me is way out of date. And so that is something that I'll need to be working on, but I'm hoping to through this process that we're doing to collect that information. When we first got the designation, because Alpine is a Texas music friendly community. And so therefore, we're representing Alpine only to the state, to the governor's office. But I did we have a monthly regional West Texas call with the liaisons to the program. And the person at the Texas Music Office who coordinates with all of us is at those meetings. And so I did check with her and told her that we do consider, while, Alpine is a city and it has a cohesiveness of its own, we do consider the Big Bend the larger community. And that certainly as the musicians are concerned, like when we were making our venue list, we went to Sanderson, down to Presidio, over to Valentine, and that was kind of the big circle that we thought represented the Big Bend's music community. And so I made sure that was okay with her, that I can send in information for anybody that we consider within our community. So then I just said, let me know when it comes to the part where it has to only be Alpine, and that's what we'll do, but we want to support, encourage everybody.
So you're waiting on an answer?
No, she said that was fine.
Oh, she
The
said
only
sure.
thing I'm waiting on is if a certain context comes up where it needs to only be Alpine, then she'll tell me, and that's what we'll do. But in this case, they didn't care, and it benefits them having a more complete
Right.
database. So, so as we're collecting at least the venue, those businesses, we can send them. I can send them in, and I've got a login. I'll probably add them directly to the database as we figure that out. Let's see. In terms of music industry directory, there's the state's one, and then there's our own, which is what we're building with this venue list as a starting point. I also have a spreadsheet with the musicians that I knew of as of COVID. There's been a whole lot of turnover since then. And we have our mailing list that Mateo started soliciting people to fill out our form and add themselves to our database. And then I've added them to the MailChimp email, just a broadcast list But another thing we've talked about is making a Facebook group or something. Because broadcast is not a good way to build community, if it's, especially if it's relying on me and it takes me 3 weeks from when I say, I'm gonna send that email to actually get it sent. And it's not that helpful if it's just coming out from one office. It really should be the community talking to itself. So that's just something,
Yeah, a little Facebook page.
yeah,
And, so I feel like everybody uses out here for the most part.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Are you gonna make it like specific where you don't have people from 200 miles away trying to join the list?
That's a great question. And something that I think it might be, one of the reasons I've hesitated is because I'd like to get input
Yeah.
from not just even the music advisory board, but from the music community, because it would be to serve them. And, and there are definitely players that have a relationship, that don't live here, but have a strong relationship to the area and come and play often, and I think they'd be welcome. I think, but no, it's a question.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do have, yeah, right. I mean, they do have Facebook pages that are specific, for like groups. And if somebody wants to join, then they would have to be approved. So, that would be something to consider.
I think it's not a bad, I wonder, you could probably open it once you've started it. If, like, you could, I'm assuming there's a setting, like,
Yeah,
if you make a closed group, you can make it an open group if everybody.
yeah, on further down the road, you
Okay.
could, yes.
So I think that's a good place to start, and what we could do is like send an invitation to everybody that's on the list. Or something.
Say, hey, join this group, specifically, and, they have also, like when you're trying to join a group, like 3 different questions. Why do you want to join this group? Blah, blah, blah.
Little.
Kind of,
Yeah,
yeah,
That's called-
like an interview sort of thing.
Yeah. And
I feel like David Kohl would love that little page.
Yeah.
I wonder actually if David might want to admin that page.
Yeah.
He likes some control,
I think
he likes some
he'd be-
power.
The guy for that.
Cause I'm thinking if it's on me, then it's gonna take forever, and
He's
so,
already like constantly keeping people up to date with shows and events, and anything music driven. He's there. So he's not only documenting what he's talking about, but letting
Yeah.
people know. So he could be a good person
Yeah.
to ask.
yeah, cause I was thinking somebody to set it up and decide what those questions are, or a small group, but if it's not just me, I'm a bottleneck, and so it's good to spread that. Anything else on this directory and community side of things that come to mind?
I think the Facebook idea is the best way,
Okay,
but the directory, I'm looking forward to that.
yeah,
Yes.
I've been looking forward to it for a lot of years now. But yes, me too. And then we get to see other potential projects, and this advisory board, its purpose, according to like the city formed it when we were applying for this designation as a Texas music friendly community. And the Texas Music Office sees the purpose of this board as an interface between our music industry and the city government. And so they're really looking at as our role being, if we hear of things, problems that the people in the music industry are having, or ways that the city might be able to help in some way through policy, then this board would be the interface to send that to the city council. And so far, we did that with a noise ordinance to try, mainly to ensure that hired musicians were not ticketed if that noise ordinance was violated, that it would be the person who hired them, because that had happened once, and so that was an issue. So we worked that sort of thing. When we look at other potential projects, the sort of things we've talked about so far is like Fort Worth has a music ambassador program, where they'll underwrite tours to a degree. And that's something we've talked about doing if, now I don't know, and that's something that as we build community and we get a better sense, maybe we can start to canvas which players wanted to win. You know, because most of our musicians, Rick Ruiz is the only one who is only a musician. Everybody else has a day job. How, you know, Mateo did a short tour last year. And so
Gonna do
Neil
another one.
might, every once in a while, you got another one coming.
Or talking about.
Well, and so that could though be something that we haven't figured out. One, what's the pool of potential musicians who might want to tour? Two, what would our process be for vetting those musicians as appropriate ambassadors for tourism visitation of the city? And then we'd also have to appropriate funds, which would be hotel money, which is tight for next year. So don't know how much would be available anyway, but that's a possibility. Another thing, I've talked with the other Texas music friendly communities in our region about is maybe programming showcases in each other's communities. So like if, and once again, we have the same issue of kind of vetting and applying, you know, deciding who would be on an Alpine showcase bill at the Cactus Theater in Lubbock. You know, and how, who's the decider there? You know, what's the group that's gonna say, oh, well, this player's in and this one's not, you know, and we're nowhere near that infrastructure to make those kind of decisions. But those are a couple of kind of performance-based things and travel-based things that have been come up with. Is there anything else that you guys can think of that we've talked about?
Well, we touched lightly on insurance
Right,
provisions for local musicians.
yeah, and we talked about like a relief fund, but there
Yeah.
hasn't been any, that's an organizational lift that this group hasn't been able to look at, because then you're, you know, doing fundraisers, you build a fund, and then figuring out, you know, who's the committee that's gonna review
Oversee that,
requests, or even put out
those-
the information that
Right.
requests are possible.
Could contact the one in Austin,
Ham,
just questions and
Yeah.
stuff like
how
that.
they organize.
They used to offer, of course, like doctor's checkups. But also you could get, earplugs specially made for for each individual and little things like that to, like, you know, protect your hearing. Check up at the doctors, like little health things that just helped a lot.
Yeah,
You know, the little bit went a long way for physicians over there.
I think it would be great if we could encourage a group of musicians that isn't this board
Mhm.
to form, to work that side of things, that we would then be, we would be the doorway to city support for anything that they would want to do, and most of us would be members, you know, but this is unwieldy because of the Texas Open Meetings Act. You know, in order to get together, have a committee meeting, Cleveland has to post it, you know, the week before. or
Got to
something.
follow the rules.
Yeah, it has to be legal. And so I think it would be good if something like that came together, and I think we could help suggest and encourage participate.
Do you know, it seems to me in looking through Texas grants and stuff, and I vaguely remember seeing something available for musicians, like if they had hardship or something like that. Have you seen?
Was that through Texas Commission on the Arts?
Yeah, and I would have to go back and look and stuff. It just seems to me that I saw something pertaining to that, and I wish I had more information on it, because at the time I was like, you know, that would be good to bring to the community, you know, the musicians and say, hey, you know, this grant is available and we could help them through that process of applying for it if they need it.
Mhm.
And also tell venues about that Texas incubator,
Yeah,
so not just musicians, but also venue.
yeah, I think that, communicating about that list of, eligibility requirements to be a music venue qualified
Mhm.
would also go a long way towards even just making every venue aware of kind of the bar.
Yeah, might
If they
encourage
might
more
wanna meet,
music.
exactly, they might encourage more music and encourage more musicians to get paid and more dedicated space for music and all those things that you do in order. Did you ever see any money at all yet?
We got 15,000
Woo! When did you get that?
last October. Or, no, January? We finished it last September, and yeah, we got the money in January.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and we're gonna apply for it again in September.
Excellent.
It-
Do you know what this is?
Hmm.
Okay, the Texas Music
Texas Music
Incubator
Incubator
Rebate
System.
Fund.
Yep.
It's through the Texas Music Office, the legislature approved a program where if a business qualifies as a small music venue, and so it's under a certain size, and it has to meet a certain set of criteria, it's like 10 different things, and you have to meet 6 of them. And that means like having dedicated space for music, you have to have a written contract with a musician. You have to pay the musicians, so you have to have staff that's dedicated to it, things like that, but it's flexible in that you don't have to hit every single one. But if you qualify, then and successfully apply, then they rebate your drink taxes to up to like $50,000, I think, but you got 15 back. So that's not a grant, it's just a rebate back
That's
of the
good.
taxes that you
It
pay.
was- it was awesome.
Is that, can you apply yearly?
Ma'am?
You can apply yearly?
Yeah, yearly, every September 1st to September 30th, you have that month to apply. And if we had to send it back a couple times because we did, it was our first time, so we did a couple things wrong. And the lady was very helpful and very patient with us. And yeah, we got it corrected and got money just a few months later.
So you'll apply again this year?
Mhm.
What other businesses in Alpine would qualify, do you think? Like
Well,
Amigo?
Jody, Amigo, I'd be really surprised, because all they do now is
Yeah, they
open
don't
mics and
do-
nobody
Yeah.
gets
Oh.
One
paid.
of the main things is music, proof of music, live music, 5 to 6 nights a week.
Yeah.
So you really have to also be
Music generated.
very much a venue.
So probably just you guys, right? Not even
But
Alco?
again,
Alcove
hopefully
might be
it
close.
would encourage places and stuff to be like, oh,
Right,
let's have music every happy hour, or just like, it doesn't matter what time, as long as there is
Right.
music,
right.
live music.
Yeah, Jody McIntyre was helping Alcove with an application, but I hadn't heard.
And Skelton Salton, do they?
That's pretty
That's
irregular,
pretty like a month.
Yeah, they're not.
almost like the blues.
Again, so many places with potential to have music regularly, but it is a lot of work and.
And going back to the touring thing, they had the Texas touring roster,
Mhm.
it's something that we could like, whoever, if they're interested in getting in on that
Yeah.
roster, we could help them with that so that they could
Completely agree.
go.
Yeah.
Now, is that the grant you were doing, that we did that letter?
No, I did the arts, it was, arts community, something or another.
The projects or the?
The
support?
project, yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
Cool.
So Chris, the city lot, what are we doing with that as far as encouraging maybe pop-up bands or whatever?
Yeah, well, so far, we had 2 events during Viva.
Right,
And both were well attended. The first one was a music circle, which is something, I don't know if you've been to any of those, but Roland and Deborah Rollins they started having basically just a party that would be a different personality each month.
uh-huh,
and we've had a few public ones, at Art Walk and things like that over the years. And so that was the inauguration of Art Walk Plaza, was that one, and it went really well. And it seems very likely that that could be a monthly, because that's
I feel like
roughly.
they should run that at that space.
Yeah, because that's roughly
Yeah.
what they've been doing it at their house, and I think they'd be happy to do it
Right.
there.
Right,
So that's one thing that we could do. The only thing is that it went later than Heather wanted to stay up, so we just need to make sure somebody's prepared to lock the bathroom door.
all right.
Um,
I thought it was really cool having like the lamps out. It was just very much a living room setting in downtown Alpine.
yeah, yeah, it's really sweet.
Pretty
So let's hypothetically say that some little group, maybe have to be well known, whatever, wants to go and play there one Saturday afternoon. How do they do that?
Really, they could just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah, that's something for you guys to think about. I would wanna, I mean, what we might do is just make sure that, just have them tell somebody, and then we can make sure that.
It could be good to like have somewhere in that square corner, have like a contact or want to play this spot,
Yeah,
email or text.
and I would have them give
That's
it
a great
Heather,
idea.
because it's part of the visitor center,
Right.
you know, in
Yeah.
terms of its structure, so she'd probably be the one, they would go to the visitor center and talk to her. And say, hey, we'd like to do this, and then she would just let them know that, you know, where the power is, and.
Right.
And if she knows when it's gonna be, she can make sure the bathrooms are open.
Yeah, and there's an informal group that occasionally posts on Facebook. Drum circle at Coconut on
Right.
Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't know if they want to do it under the trees or,
Yeah.
but that might be a
Tree shade
spot.
is a nice thing.
Yeah. That might be, I don't know how shaded.
And if it got, too terribly busy and stuff, it'd be kind of like the pavilion over there at the park. Have somebody contact to reserve it,
Yeah,
so that you don't have people fussing over the space. As it gets more popular and has more people maybe wanting to use it.
yeah, and the physical thing that Heather and I have been talking about, is a concrete slab stage. That would be in the corner against the calendar mural with the guy playing the guitar. That would be kind of up to where the calendar is, a semicircle. That'd be a little bit raised.
Do you
And
want it? I feel like concrete would be hot.
it could be hot. I
What
don't
if it was just like a,
feel like wood.
yeah, I guess.
Pavers or, no, those would be hot
Well,
too.
and we're also talking about how to figure out some kind of shade
Yeah.
structures that don't obscure the murals. But
True.
past that stage, a bench kind of up against that wall, which I think would be in the shade most of the time.
Yeah.
With the idea that that could be something that, so acoustic musicians could play there anytime without, as long as there's not something
It
else
almost just
going
turns
on.
into the porch into.
That's exactly what.
So how do we get the word out to people? they
That
don't know
could be
that.
through that Facebook group.
Yeah, they don't know that they can just go sit down and start playing.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
or the
it's a-
visitor center could,
Yeah.
put it
Yeah,
out
I was
there.
gonna say visitor center or city of Alpine or
Mhm.
someone literally just to let the people know. And then once you let the people know, everyone shares that.
yeah.
And then they're like, hey, you wanna meet up, wanna go jam at the spot? I wanted to ask, is there any like information about those murals or anything in that corner?
Not explicitly yet, we're talking about,
Just a little historical.
doing
thing.
basically some QR codes and doing. We're looking at a Humanities Texas grant for it, where we could have for all the murals around town, or as many as we can. To
Yeah.
make a page on the website, shoot some video, ideally of the artist, or if the artist isn't available, somebody else who knows about the mural. And information about, what it's about and who made it, and things like that, and have high quality panels with QR codes on them. Yeah. So that's some Heather and I are talking about. Yeah, so other projects that have come to your mind? You were mentioning encouragement of businesses.
What businesses, musicians, I was wondering if you have something in place to get the word out. I know that's kind of like a big deal, but recruitment of music business, musicians all across the country. I know there's other people like myself who would love to live in a town like this that has that kind of support. I know we're way out here compared to some of the places I've lived and played. But it seems like that if more people knew about it, you would have much more interest. I became interested in Alpine because I came across the little sticker. That, yeah, it was
The
online.
music
I
friendly
had
one?
no idea what it was. I knew of Alpine. I used to live in Austin. I played in Austin in the 90s. But it was the sticker that got my attention.
Oh,
And it said music friendly community, and so when I did the online search, the first thing came up was the city's website that said. Alpine is a music friendly community, meaning, the status,
Yeah.
but to me, I didn't know anything about it,
Yeah.
it just said. I need to look into this place simply because of that little logo. And to me, that's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
It's just that one little thing, here I am. I think there would be a lot of interest and a lot of musicians who play music industry related that would take an interest. Absolutely.
Now, in terms of encouragement, what form do you imagine that taking?
Oh, online,
Yeah.
maybe selecting targeted areas. The big music centers are still, with the advent of online everything. You can record with a musician on the other side of the world if
right.
that kind of thing, but the standard online social media. Or industry trades, that kind of a thing, reaching out, again, through industry trades would be a good thing. There's still, even things like Billboard magazine, if you put up that little sticker in there, I guarantee you would get a lot of interest.
Hmm.
And it just seemed like, for me to, I came from far away to come out here in the middle of nowhere, there's an attraction for, and I think a lot of musicians would be interested in that. A lot of musicians are looking to get away from a lot of, how do I put this? It's a much easier lifestyle that's conducive for musicians, songwriters, artists
Could be like a retreat as well.
as well. Yeah,
Offering,
absolutely. Well, one of the ideas was if you reach out to things like music clinics, there's a lot of people around the world who will set up a music clinic. Music professor or somebody who plays in a big orchestra, they will have a music clinic for 2 weeks. Somewhere, anywhere in the world, and it's exclusive or not exclusive, it depends. Things like that, where you go and you pay a lot of money and you get to spend 2 weeks with a world renowned. But it ranges from a music camp to an exclusive 2-week program, that kind of a thing. There's a lot of ideas like that that I think would be really good for Alpine.
Yeah.
And I think it would be really good for the people who look into it and say, yeah, it's a little hot there, but the music community is strong and it's supportive. What's that?
But it's a dry heat.
I
Yeah.
tell- I
And it's
tell-
not usually this hot.
I know. I tell my friends back east and they're like, don't give me that, it's not the heat, it's not the heat. It's definitely, I like the.
This is a great idea though, I like that a lot.
Yeah, well, and the thing that the retreat, a clinic, something where the the town is delivering what they're coming for, because it's one thing that unlike a Nashville or what have you, nobody's actually making a living in Alpine playing. And so that we don't want to promise that that's necessarily possible without, I don't know, millions of YouTube followers or what have you.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to kind of
You have to be famous and
weed
then move.
your,
Yeah.
weed your
Well, that
presentation
could
to
be
make it
something too.
attractive.
Because, a lot of musicians love to escape after they
Yeah.
become successful. They all go out, all the film people go out to Montana and all the musicians go up to, up the coast or whatever in the West Coast. There's a wide spectrum
Yeah.
of reaching out to, across the spectrum of the industry. Whether it's a guy building guitars in his garage, or somebody who is a world-class musician. Maybe they like the disc. Maybe they like astronomy too, on top of it.
Right.
I got 2 telescopes in my house. I love those things. It's all part of, me being a musician. And then having to come here, it's like the best of all the worlds for me. I think there's a lot more people, if you reach out across the country or whatever, I think, you may come up with a small amount. But it's still, they're the ones that you would want.
Yeah.
People who want to come and make a difference, and make a life for themselves. I'm giving myself a year, 6 months right now. And so far, everything's looking really good. I think that I build my own instruments and repair, and I do things all across the country. I've sold in Canada, the online really makes a difference. So if you're doesn't matter where you are in the country, you can still ship something. It's a little difficult from here, an extra day or two, but it still goes, just like everybody else in the country. I think a wide net doesn't have to be, wouldn't have to be a big expensive thing. But
Yeah.
I think if more people became aware of Alpine.
I think that's the Billboard magazine, Rolling Stone, like having a little advertisement in those kind of articles, magazine, yeah. Nothing big, nothing crazy, but I don't know how to do that, but that's a really great idea.
So you were living on the East Coast when you came out here, or you were living?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah. I grew up in New England and I was born in Boston. I lived in Los Angeles in the 80s. I played there and
Austin in the
and then
nineties.
Austin in the 90s. Then I went back to New England till now. Until February, I drove down here.
That is a lot of great stuff to think about. Especially in terms of promotions, that is something that Heather and I work that side of things for the city, and that is something we can look at, how much does that cost, to do a timely ad, because the actual dollars are tight. It's easier to do social media ads, and so that's something we could think about, Alpine music friendly community Instagram, Facebook ad that went to some of those markets and were tailored to those interests.
Yeah.
That's something that is totally affordable.
Well, the Facebook seems to be the way
Yeah.
to go for
That's
all-
a clause that I've used also to push the festival. Music friendly
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, the camps, clinics and retreats would be good for getting more tourists out
Yeah.
here.
Like young and old, instead of, volleyball camp or baseball,
Yeah.
whatever, just, there's a lot of, I think, younger artists that could be inspired out by, our area and everything.
Yeah.
I have a question. The high school has a marching band.
Yes.
Does the university have a? They don't have a
No.
marching.
Not a
band.
marching
They
band.
probably
Just a- just
have
a-
some.
Symphony type band.
There's a music program, like guitar teachers, and
Yeah,
violin.
Andrea,
Vocal.
vocal.
Allegra, is that how you say his last name?
Yeah, I think he's chair of the department, and he's mainly a voice guy, so they have choral ensembles. And but I don't know instrumentally, other than guitar, what they're doing. And I was thinking music clinics and camps that Nick,
And it'd be cool to have. him
he
part of it.
probably could, he probably could find the people
so
to
good.
deliver those. Cause he's got a good network for, this is classical guitar,
Phenomenal musician.
yeah. And he's already hosting guest performers once a year in February.
From Europe
Yeah.
to Japan to California to like bringing everyone around the world to Alpine.
Here's the guy.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah, at least for a classical guitar, he probably could find people doing those things, and we could find out, well, what would it take to do one here?
Yeah, we probably know a lot of teachers.
Exactly.
Professors, yeah.
Brought a professor from Denton a few months back, and she's been prodigy since she was 9,
Oh,
and just like watching her play guitar was just like, and she was in her 20s now, but just being like, what? Like mind blowing music.
I just, so the marching band for the high school, they do competitions.
I'm sure
They
they
do.
the
Yes,
USL.
we-
Yeah.
they-
So there's a circuit with the other.
With high schools, they have
Yeah.
regions and stuff. that-
UIL, I
They,
guess,
yeah,
right?
they go and do competition, marching and stuff.
And they went a little further this last year.
Yeah, they did,
Than usual.
And their instructor is,
Mr. Wilson.
that's right.
Chuck Wilson.
That's that's an avenue.
Mhm.
The marching is definitely an avenue. There's a lot of people who do camps and instructors do things like for beginning drum lines and stuff like that. I have a good marching background for drums.
Yeah.
I ran I had a nonprofit percussion ensemble for 10 years. Competitive, and we did very well.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Uh,
he had a drum line here, about 3 weeks ago or so, he invited us.
Oh, yes.
We went up
El
to-
Paso.
Yeah, and we went up and watched them and stuff, so they were here for what, 2 or 3
Yeah,
weeks?
2 weeks.
No, they were in
Practicing.
the
They were
parade,
part
right?
of the parade, the 4th of July
Yeah.
party,
Yeah,
and
and then went on to competition in Dallas.
yeah, we came by the coffee shop every day.
Do you know if they do a winter indoor competitions?
No,
I don't think we have.
they just do
Just the,
they do the marching, and then in the wintertime, they do have concert, UIL competition is what it is indoor. They don't do marching or anything indoors, just the concert.
performance.
Yep.
Great idea.
Yes, indeed. Well, that's a lot of potential projects. One of our challenges here is continuity because this board meets once a quarter. And so it's very difficult to build momentum on finishing projects and then 4 of us talking together is illegal unless it's a posted meeting because of the Texas Open Meetings Act. But if we get very small amounts of board members in committee groups, 3 of us can be in a room, and be talking about getting stuff done. And so that's where like Mateo and I met to talk about the workshop, the showcase and things like that. And so I hope maybe at the showcase or as we're leading up to it, we can come up with another like note or 2 of specific times to get some people together to talk about ideas and how to move them forward more quickly than this group can.
I feel like utilizing the corner spot on Fifth Street is something we were able to, I think we could do that
Yeah.
soon.
Mhm.
Just getting the right people posting it.
And I think that's great too, as people come in off of Amtrak and
Yeah,
they see
I
and
see
there's
that.
music and they're more likely to walk around and then maybe, hey, let's go back and spend a little bit of time in that community.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
something where, especially this time of year, most times a year, shade is gonna be critical. Like
Uh-huh.
right now, that picnic table, it's nice pretty much all day, but that's the only spot.
And that's right there.
Yeah,
close to
it's
the
right next to the
intersection.
tree, yeah. And what's being more visible and more audible will be up against those walls. So
Right.
when we can figure out some shade and figure out how to pay for some shade, that will accelerate things.
What are you thinking about as far as the shade?
Well, Heather and I talked a little bit about it. We're gonna have to probably do some kind of easement with the property owners, the building owners to anchor something. But some of the sale kind of shade cloths, but maybe something more permanent too. And that's what we were talking yesterday. If maybe talk to Tom Greenwood, local architect, to get ideas for what are ideas for how we can install things that are gonna be graceful visually, not the whole point of buying the lot was to not cover up the murals, you know, try
Shade
to.
structures that don't. Keep you from seeing.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah. Like, well, you know, that's as far as we've done. We know we need it.
I think asking an architect is a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, trees, shade structure. That's all I got.
How long do you think that would take?
And who knows? In the next month or so, if I get to it, I could contact Tom and just see, and that's really just, he might be willing to come have a conversation, but I wouldn't ask for anything more than that without.
Well, what are your thoughts about, I don't know if it blocked the murals, I'm trying to envision just pop-up shade structure until you can get something figured out,
Yeah,
where the lot can start to be utilized more quickly. You know what I'm talking about? Just those little
yeah,
pop-up.
yeah, and well, Heather has her Visit Alpine one that's there, so. Against that blue fence between the calendar mural and the bathroom, something could be there anytime, you know, because it's not blocking anything. That's where we're planning to put the visitor info kiosk. And so in the short term, like a 10 by 20, you know, that's wider, we could.
There's something that they can pop up to cover. the-
And, like for Sunday, Art Walk brought extra tents. They
Uh-huh.
had their Bloody Mary bar and then they brought an extra one for the musicians to play under and that worked great. But you don't want to leave it there.
No,
And, and so in order to make it super welcoming for people to hang out and play, it would need to be permanent.
right,
But-
right.
but
I'm just
for-
thinking in the
But for
meantime,
events,
it's
yeah,
kind of like trying to figure out permanent could take a while.
yeah, it will, but yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's already, we've already done that at least once, and so there's nothing stopping us from continuing that for now. And in fact, maybe we encourage people to bring their guitars and sit in on that picnic table
Right,
and just play together during the day.
right. Yeah, because anything like that's welcoming to
Yeah.
any visitor that comes into
Because
town. It
That
is
spot's
the
so
whole
shady.
vibe. It's like, oh, this has a really
Yeah,
cool vibe here.
okay. Yeah, and I also need to move on and get ready to set up some equipment. So let's see, we have no action items. This meeting, board member comments. Cindy, have you had anything else you want to add? I don't think we've had a conversation. I think so too. Thank you. And so given that, we will adjourn this meeting at 6:27 p.m.
Awesome.
Thank you.